Yo, for many years I wanted to be as thin as possible and was thin until around age 37, but I have certainly gained weight. A more current weigh-in was 224 pounds at 5 foot 10 and a quarter inches tall. And while I was only attracted to relatively thin women for my first 25 years, I developed a strong attraction to fat women. Those two things are probably not related. My weight gain is due to the fact that people's metabolism slows down as they get older. The only way to maintain the same former weight, 140 pounds at the same height, would be to either eat less forever after, exercise more forever after, or both. Also, I used to spend my free time running, while I now spend my time on the computer. And my mother, whom I lived with before 3 months ago, had always tried to push excess food on me. Though our household had only 3 people, my mother kept 2 giant refrigerators packed with food and cupboards stockpiled with food supplies. As for fat women, it is not as simple a matter as haters make it to be. First, some women are wrongly condemned as being obese, although their body weight is between 150 to 195 pounds or 66 to 88 kilograms. That is not a health hazard. The problem is that the fashion industry is often run by gay men who lack a proper outlook on what is an attractive woman. Since women are overly criticized while heavy men often get a pass, lots of women may think, why bother, and so do not monitor their weight and so become truly obese. Consider that model Tess Holliday at 300 pounds or 136 kilograms is regularly the subject of personal attacks, while men like ex-basketball star Shaquille O'Neal at 325 pounds or 147 kilograms are never the subject of personal attacks on account of their weight. Also, being 7'1" instead of 5'5" does not decrease the hazard of being heavy, since the heart must work to pump blood into a bigger body regardless. And having more muscular weight instead of fat does not help either, since the heart actually has to work harder, since muscle tissue requires more blood than fatty tissue. And those who make anti-fat videos usually throw insults such as land whale. Social media even had a so-called Project Harpoon with photoshopped images of heavier women to produce their thin pictures. First, it's morally wrong to be name-calling regardless. Secondly, it's foolish to compare any human to whales, which are 50 feet or 15 meters long and weigh 50 tons or 100,000 pounds. There is no physical resemblance, and whales are majestic creatures. Society should be doing whatever they can to protect whales and other endangered species. Now, if the doctors of obese women cannot persuade them to lose weight, and the families and friends of obese women cannot persuade them to lose weight, why in the world would anyone think that strangers fat-shaming them on the internet would do the trick? The problem is the motivation of those who make anti-fat videos. I'm guessing that 0% of them are made in order to help people be more healthy, while all of them are made to make their producer and viewers feel superior and or draw attention away from their own shortcomings, and of course for entertainment and or to make money. I agree with the saying that your harsh criticism of a woman's physical appearance says more about you than it does about her. A second factor why so many women and men are obese in America is the fault of the food culture. See the movie Super Size Me. In fact, many people overeat because they are alone and depressed, and food comforts them. It's stupid and mean to pressure people into giving up something they enjoy without providing a good alternative, such as being willing to be extra social towards them and include them in activities. Many people who would have otherwise turned to overeating have instead turned to dangerous drugs. Thirdly, obesity in women may largely be a result of feminism. Since women have too much power, which they abuse, and they are often out of control, many men may want to control them with food. Some men fatten up their woman so she won't be attractive to other men and so leave him. Others fatten up their woman because the more extra body weight you have, the less energy you tend to have. Therefore, you would tend not to have the extra energy to run around with various crowds and would spend more time at home. Women who are very overweight would lack considerable energy and therefore be more dependent on their husbands to do things for them. Some people may be overweight and so want to fatten up their partners so that they look thin in comparison. If a man gets a woman up to 700 pounds or 318 kilograms, she would be completely dependent, might be unable to leave him, and might have to submit to everything he did. He could be the complete boss due to her helplessness. Since I developed a strong attraction to 400-pound or 100-kilogram women and was a member of a local chapter of NAFA, NAAFA, that's the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, I will give other reasons why men might be attracted to fat women. In my life, there were various thin young women who were especially mean, nasty, or cold towards me, while the next door neighbors had a fat girl who was friendly. So men may see fat women as more available, which may or may not be true. The stereotype of the jolly fat person or something. I don't know if that's true, but they're just saying. Fat women are certainly lower on the social scale. Because they themselves have been marginalized, they might be more accepting of others' differences. Also, when I was a baby and toddler, my first babysitter was a very fat woman. So maybe that planted something in my subconscious. Also, when I was a child, I used to see creepy skeletal mummies in the museum. I had my own zombie consisting of a rubber skull, a rubber eyeball, and one socket, my grandfather's old coat, and some sticks for arms, which I kept in the basement. Once on vacation, I saw a so-called merman in a glass case, which was actually a very skeletal upper half of a monkey sewn onto the lower half of a large bony fish. This creeped me out, and at age 22, I visited my dying grandmother in the hospital. She had wasted to a living skeleton, which deeply disturbed me. So these things likely triggered a revulsion, which shifted my attraction to something that would be the opposite of that. And there was an incident at work where I and a fat woman who I previously joked about tried to squeeze through a small area at the same time. Inadvertently rubbing on her butt was an eye-opening event. Also, I'm half German, and desiring heavy women seems common for men of that nationality. Certainly far more men than will admit it are attracted to fat women. Regardless, we must always tackle our own faults and sins before pointing the finger at anyone else. Even if being fat is the result of gluttony, over 300 types of other sin are mentioned in Christian scripture besides gluttony. I have the complete list, which I shall share in a future video. Concern yourself with that.